Welcome back to One Last Turn, episode 3 and day 13 of the One Plot Challenge, No Land Challenge, whatever you want to call it. So, just in the final moments of the last episode, we got some basic fertilizer going, so now we can set up our advanced fertilizer in this episode. We also got some vitality potions, at least enough to get to tier 5, and we have unlocked the advanced fertilizer. So everything there is ready. We also got a little coke setup going for coke powder. All it needs is to be fed with coal ore. It's just a little bit expensive, so trying to conserve the amount there. We haven't moved our other setups up here yet, so currently it isn't necessary either to have this running, but eventually we will have it running. Okay, so this is some fertilizer, and we can use this setup to sort of bootstrap the build that we're gonna need for the advanced fertilizer. One thing I would sort of like though is the metal stand, because that will allow us to go vertical. So maybe we just quickly whip up some steel. So we can get those. I think that might be preferable, because that way it will take up a lot less space. Let's start by making sure we have some stuff to sell. Let's get a bit of money out of the bank, and let's unlock steel and the metal stand. How is our quests doing? We can easily do this one for the wooden railing. Let's just turn that in. Pulleys, we do have some of those, so we should be able to do this one. I think this one we can do as well. And this is more pulleys. Don't know if we have that many pulleys, but we could get some going, definitely. Let's get some of those fertilizer potions that we have. There we go. A few more money in the chest, which is great. Like I said last time, I want to get to maybe like 500 silver coins before we do a money belt. But this is definitely on the right track. Hopefully soon we can get out of having these manual plants. That should be our steel, so let's get the metal stands as well, and let's see what does it take to make steel. We take iron and coke powder. in an ethanol. So let's get that up. We actually do need something else. We need to get this priority merger. So a bit more money. Because the way the ethanol works in most of its recipes is that it outputs a probability of a recycled material. At least here with the steel, you put in iron and you get out 75% iron, so you sort of need to refeed the iron or use the iron for something else, of course, but the most efficient way is to refeed the iron into the machine. That way you also need less iron. For feeding the system. Anyways, let's set up the ethanol here. Use some more iron for that. Luckily we should have some. Yep. Great. There we go. Ethanol. And we want, so basically the yellow arrow is where the steel is gonna come out. So we're gonna want that on the outside here, so we can have a priority merger go like this, and then we will feed our iron in here. Then we need to put some iron in here. We need to put some iron in here in this belt to top it off, and then we need to get some coke powder over here. How much do we need? We need 30 coke powder per minute. How much does this produce? I'm pretty sure this setup is 30 per minute. So we're gonna copy one of these. And we're gonna wanna how do we wanna set it up? First of all, we probably want to flip it so it goes the other way. So if we put this down here, okay, something along these lines probably, and then we want to get our want to get this, and we want to it probably like this, and then we can do this here. We can feed them here, and we can even take. Oh, this is gonna be really annoying to move about, but if we take this one, turn it around so we get entry there, then we take this top part and we turn that around as well so we get back to the setup that we wanted. Then we can feed that in there and feed that in there, and then we just need a last one of these, and that's day 13. That was quick, but also we did use like half of the day, or at least a third of the day in the beginning or in the end of the last episode to get the fertilizer going. Yeah, no real costs, but we are dwindling in supply, so we do need to start spending a little bit to get our factory downstairs working again, or maybe start moving stuff after we get this up and running. But for now, we do have money to run to survive without having to run all this stuff. So I just want to focus on building this currently. I think we want to get a iron smelter. We are gonna have to do something like this, which is unfortunate. But that is fine. That is fine. And what we can do is we can put one of these here, so when we get a portal, we can just feed iron ore directly in here, which is gonna be nice. But for now, just gonna add that manually, and this should give us some steel that we can get. Get a box. This should give us some steel in this box, and then we will do some other kind of setup at a later date. Obviously this isn't that effective. We are taking up a big chunk of space by having it like this, but that is just how it's gonna be. We could move it into this corner instead and have some more free space, and if we need the space, maybe we'll do that. But let's get a couple of coal ores and some iron. We're gonna have to get some silver for that. Iron is out here. What kind of quest did we get? Glass, iron. Alright. Let's put a coal ore here, and an iron ore here. And we would need to bootstrap. Well, this is already bootstrapped, but we would need to bootstrap this. Well, I mean, technically we wouldn't, because they should all be fed by the coke powder that's gonna come out here. But it does make it a little bit quicker if you just feed it to begin with. But yeah, with the priority merger, we are feeding it from here. We are getting 20 per minute of iron ore, but this needs 30, but it also produces 22.5. So once this is up to full speed, 22.5 will come out here. be fed back in, and then the additional 7.5 that's needed will be fed from this priority merger. And as you can see, we're already starting to produce some steel, and every fourth product is gonna be steel, while every well, the rest 3 is gonna be iron, which is gonna be fed back into the machine. And eventually, at some point, the amount of coke that is fed by this setup here will be enough to run here. We could technically, this only needs 30 and we are producing 40, so we could technically take 10 to feed the furnaces, but it's not, it shouldn't be necessary. They did change. They just released an update and they did change the buffer size, which is quite interesting. It used to be just 10 per buffer slot, and now it's 1 per, each buffer slot used to hold 10, so this would buffer 20 items, and now it's so that every buffer slot can contain 1 per total amount of buffer slots. So this has 2 buffer slots, so each buffer slot can contain 2, but obviously because I put more in earlier, it's not like it's gonna eject them, but only 2 is gonna go in from now on. That does help with sort of like buffering, but we're gonna have a massive buffer along the belt here until this just sort of catches up. We're gonna need a lot more coal ore into this to fill that up as well. So I think I will just get a few more of those. Well, that was only 2, but it is quite expensive. But we did get some steel, and that is what we wanted. We want some steel for this metal stand. We do need twice the amount here because we need to do 6 metal stands. But what we do basically is we place the metal stand, then we can take a table saw and place it underneath, and we can also have one above. Actually, we maybe even need, I think we do actually, I think we need 4 times the amount, because we need 2 per, like this, and then we also need 12 table saws in total in order to sort of match the ratio that we need in order to produce a clean amount of advanced fertilizer. So let's take a look at the advanced fertilizer recipe and sort of step back through it so we can see what goes on. We need the basic fertilizer, which is this setup here. We just need to scale this. Currently we have the right amount of plant ash, but the quicklime is scaled wrongly. So we will scale this up for the right amount. And then we need gloom fungus. And how do we get gloom fungus? We get that from the table saw with rotten logs, which is a new type of log we have done or unlocked. And rotten logs is used on the table saw to get gloom fungus as well as planks. So let me just get one of these rotten logs and I can show you the ratio. So we do 12 gloom fungus per saw. Maybe we actually only need 10, I think, but either way. We get 12 per saw, and we put that into a assembler here, and we need 30 for 30, which means that in order to get like a clean ratio, we would need to do 5 of these to get 60. So we could do 60 per minute fertilizer, and if we want to do an entire belt of fertilizer, I want to go in here and see. We have 120 on the belt. We will need to do 4 times these recipes, which means 10 table saws. So that is what we are going to do. 10 table saws, 4 assemblers. We're also gonna need 120 of basic fertilizer. So we're gonna have 4 of these. 4 times the amount of sage, and currently this is doing 40, so we'll need 3 times the amount of quicklime, and that will give us our full build of fertilizer. And with a full build of fertilizer, we should be able to basically create the plants necessary for everything that we're currently relying on plants for, as well as any additional things that we have unlocked but aren't currently producing with plants. We are going to be able to scale up linen production and bandage production into territories where they make a lot more sense as well, and it will last us a few more tiers as well. So that is going to be the goal here. So we just need some more steel ingots, and we are out of coal, so we do need an additional coal ore. Let's just take this iron, doesn't seem to be the issue. Make some more iron here, and let's get an additional coal ore. As you can see, these coal ores are quite expensive. We will get another one here. They are quite expensive, and it does sort of add up quick, which is why we need to get our production back up and running as soon as possible after we have done spending all of this money. Yeah, so let's take this. Let's remove that. Let's take and expand this a little bit, because we do need this filter splitter on here. We want to get our gloom fungus out. This will have them on the yellow, which is gonna be the top portion. That means we have logs on the bottom portion. We are gonna get, so with 10, we're gonna get like 4 belts worth of planks. For now, we're just gonna sink it into a trash can, I think. But we will be using it. It's just, or maybe we will, let's sink it into some chests, and then we will work on trying to get to use it in the next episode. But maybe we can't, so we will see. Anyways, let's tile this up a few times. We don't need to have the metal stands on the top there, but I'll just leave them for the immediate that's 6, and then we need a few more. And I think what I want to do is we're just gonna have a single belt of gloom fungus that comes out. But then again, we are gonna have like 4 of these assemblers, so maybe it would be nice if we could sort of split it evenly, but it needs to be on like 2.5 of these. So maybe it is just the easiest to gather them all into one belt and then splitting them afterwards. At least with the wood, we can take that off to the side and then put that into a few boxes. At least want to do this. And then the question just becomes, how do we get it down from the upper layers? As you can see, 28, almost 29,000 in coal. Gets quite expensive quite fast. But we should be producing a lot more as well. So that's 9, and that is 10. So how do we get this other stuff down? I think we're gonna do this. If you press T while you're doing this dance, you can go too high. Which is quite useful. No, that is not what we want. We want this to go out. It's just the wrong height. We want this to go out of the way here, and then we want like this. There we go. Cool, cool, cool. And back here will be the purchasing portals eventually. It's gonna be a little bit difficult to fill these, to be honest, without the purchasing portals, but we might just move it out from the wall here in the beginning. But either way, that should be one full build of gloom fungus. So what we can do, and I haven't completely showcased these features, but we can take all of this. Yeah, we can take all of this. Everything is selected here, and we can say cut. And then we have it like as a placeable blueprint, and what we can do is press H and actually save this. So let's say this is one build gloom fungus, and now we can, using the B menu, we can restore last blueprint, but what we can do is we go into Q with our build tool, and under blueprints here, we can just build it directly, and we can place it where we want, and we can store it for later, and we don't have to worry about overriding it with a new blueprint or anything. So that is really neat. Okay, so what do we want now? We do want to get this scaled, and we want to see how far we can move this here. While still being able to have a belt. I think we're actually able to build through that thing there, so we should be able to do it. But what I want is, I want to have 3 times or 4 times as much of the plants, so I'm gonna have to build one more left, and then I want to build 3 times the amount, so I'm gonna have to do, I'm gonna need 1 space here for the belt, and then I'm gonna need 1, 2, 3 for 1x, and 1, 2, 3 for 2x. And now I missed how far that was. 1 and then 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so it goes with that here, and we need to, so if we place it here, that should be good. No, I didn't want it too cold. Limestone, and this needs to be, oh, I didn't pick up the seed. Seed. There we go, so we don't want to have that or that. And we can sort of bootstrap that, and we can bootstrap that. So it seems we can still put in 10 when we do it manually, but when it's done automatically, it's only gonna put in 2, which is also sort of nice because then we can like sort of overload it. So we want to, oops, get rid of that. We'll just do this, although it is clipping, and I don't know, I'm not a big fan of it, but I mean, we gotta do what we gotta do at this point. Just don't have that many options, really. Let's get rid of some of these things here, and let's take this setup here. And duplicate it. Let's make sure we can run a line that way. So we got fuel coming in that way, and we got let's move this. We got fuel coming in that way, we got the limestone going out this way, and now we just need to make sure that the ratios from up here is right. So we need so this is 40 and we need it to be 30, but we do have like 120 here, so we could just have one belt going down. That's 120, and then we split it from here. That should be fine. Let's scale this part then. And we're gonna get rid of this belt here. So how do we actually move it in that direction? Up and down is the keys there as depicted, but left and right is only supposed to be through the mouse. Can we... What if we take this whole thing and try? Yeah, that was a lot easier. But we only need one additional here. Just merge that in there. We do need to feed this here, so let's just move this over here, and then we can put down this, and there we go. Then we need to have four here. We need a bit more space, as you will see. That should be enough though. Let's place it here so we can do this. Whoops, this, and this won't be going here. Instead, it will be going here. Whoops. There we go. This one isn't needed. Okay, so now we just need to expand this part. So how do we get it up there? First of all, this is 40. These each do 40. So the first 3 can go up like this. That is quite straightforward. And then that last one can go up. Well, we don't actually need to have those. It can go up like this. Nice. And that is almost all of it. Then we just need to... we are going to need these. We might have them elsewhere. Whoops, stop. Different recipe. You can copy and paste recipes with the button. You can see there's a copy recipe, and then the button right next to it is the paste recipe. And you can obviously change the key bindings as well in here. But yeah, this will... Where's the exit? I think it's like that. And then there is basically there's a couple different routes to do this, and we can also, I mean, one could probably argue that seeing as how our blueprint goes the other way, oh, we're actually out of wood for that. But yeah, since our blueprint goes the other way, sort of like this, maybe it would make sense to have those going in front. Let's try and do that instead. So let's put those like here. And let's put our gloom fungus down. Maybe there. And this does 30, so we have 120 on the belt here. And then this should be as simple as just feeding it out. Now this might be an issue because the ratios are gonna be wrong. So maybe we won't be going out and over, but instead we will go out like this and around. That way everything gathers on the bottom and it gets evenly split via manifold into the advanced fertilizer producers here, and then we will take those Can we do something like this, like this, and then maybe we can do something like that? I know it's sort of cheesy, but I don't really care, to be honest. Okay, so let's try and get some fuel in there. Get rid of these. Let's get some logs, just oh, we do have the one, so let's just do it with the one. We don't need to ramp the production all the way. Let's get some limestone and some of the sage seeds and see if we can't get this running in a self-sufficient manner. We will just to see that we wide up the levels, we will rotten log, and a additional rotten. Oh, I didn't have it anymore. Stone. Sage. And bootstrap. This should do sage just fine. Into plant ash just fine. Wait, what's going on there? Coke? Why is this producing coke? Oh no. Oh no. That is gonna jam up everything. Okay, let's just destroy these and place a new one. No, let's wait with placing a new one. Let's get out all of the coke that we can find. God, that's annoying. Okay, let's place just have to catch them as they come down. Okay, I feel like that fixed it. This one isn't really running. Maybe there was, yep, there was a coke powder trapped in there. There we go. All of these are running, which is good. And these are not running because the wood is clogged up. Let's put a box there and a box up there. Just get the wood out of the way for now. Okay, we got Gloom's rooms flowing. We got advanced fertilizer going. They're all seems to be going. Once they're scaled up at least. We got advanced fertilizer flowing back here. Oh, that is one thing I hadn't taken into account. The advanced fertilizer not only lasts longer, but also increases the production quite significantly. So we actually only need one. Oops. Just need one. So let's split this. It will split evenly, but then it'll back up here and split in the correct ratio. We can short this as well. Save on some space. But yeah, that is also just like one of the benefits. Let's just throw the coal into the into this over here. One of the benefits of the advanced fertilizer is that you produce a lot more from one single nursery as well. So your build is going to be more compact than on the regular fertilizer. Okay, so now we got advanced fertilizer, and we are gonna wanna put a secondary or tertiary line up here. We want this to be a priority splitter, which we didn't unlock. But basically what we want to make sure that our plant here is always fed before the line is fed, because otherwise, if this isn't fed, sage isn't produced, fertilizer isn't produced, and everything shuts down anyways. So we want to put in a priority merger, or splitter, sorry, so that the bottom line here is always fed. So let's get rid of these two, get our priority splitter, and as you can see, yellow is on the bottom, so that is where stuff will go first. And then we'll get stuff up here, going around the belt, and that is our build. We could make it a little more compact if we wanted to. It is possible to sort of put you can put I think maybe we can put no. Maybe it isn't possible. directly. I think there is a way to do it, but we can somehow stack these. I think maybe if we do something like this, I think you can use this beam here. Yep. So like this, you could stack these. And then put the advanced ones, the ones for advanced fertilizer on top of here, just to save on these like 4 spaces here. But I don't think I want to get into that. It doesn't seem necessary. One thing we could do is take we have more height, right? So we could have 4 in this direction and 4 in this direction, and then obviously it's just gonna be 2, but if we were to extend it that way, our just trying to think if it would make anything easier or less easy. But I actually think that what we have here is quite fine. But we could, of course, save on space a little bit if we wanted to. Anyways, yeah, so we're on day 16, and that was the big project. So now we have advanced fertilizer. Let's go on a spending spree, make everything run again so we can produce some items, so we can sell some stuff. And then I want to slowly, starting with the builds that can be run in a nursery. I'm not sure if I want to move them up here. I think so. Maybe I'll move this one away. Just start with having the nursery based builds up here so we can get those going. And then we do need to figure out how to get it down, but at least we will have it running. Maybe we need to start simply by saying let's plant a nursery. I believe, if I'm not entirely mistaken, that we need 2 nurseries for the current. With 4 extractors each. I'm pretty sure that's the ratio. Go. And let's get our fertilizer belt. Good thing I put over some more nails. some on us. So let's just bootstrap this a bit, get rid of that as well. Let's get some red currant seeds. We just need 2. And apart from not having to wait on the plants to grow, now this does 120. So yeah, this is not entirely the correct ratio. We are overproducing red currants, but we do need 2 because we need 160. Right, we need 120 and 120, and each of these do 200. No, so we need more actually. A little bit more iron. Cool beans. So now this should be running at optimal speeds. I do believe that is quite neat. And then of course we should probably move this a little bit so we have a little bit more room. Quite annoying, to be honest. Okay, so let's get the next thing up and going. Let's just say that is rope and pulleys, flax fiber, and one thing, you might have seen this in my blueprints already, but one thing I have done earlier is done this plant grinder where I put 3 grinders underneath the nursery, automatically feed into the grinders, such that in this case what we can do is we can place this here, put a stand there, nope, like this, and then we just need to run the fertilizer over here. And for this we need flax. Do need a few flax builds. I think maybe let's just go with 3 to begin with. We have an urgent request for linen. Do we have any linen stockpiled? We do. Let's take advantage of that 200% market price and get that out of the way. We don't have enough pulleys, so we're not going to be able to probably do that one, but that is a-okay as well. Anyways, as you can see, if I put in a flaxseed, produce 120, each grinder can do 40, so we have 120, a full build of flax fiber here. And for the rope that we need. Get 40 linen thread from this. And we get 20 rope from this. Let's take this and stack it on top of here. There we go. Rope comes out of here. And then we can have it go into a box as well. As a pulley maker. And for now, let's just steal some wood from this, but eventually this would have its own wood supply. We can just switch stuff around a little bit. Now we're doing some pulleys at least, with an unlimited supply of flax, which is nice. So we can get rid of this setup down here. Let's just get this going there. Next up, we got the linen, and how is the ratios for that? We need 120 linen threads. So that's actually 6 processors, and also 6 flax. We probably do want to do it because we want to do some bandages, but the bandages is only like 12, so maybe we do 4 nurseries. So we do this at 160. Then we have a little bit of leftover linen at, so that would mean we do 16, so we would have 4 per minute of linen, 12 per minute of bandages. Maybe we should just do 12 and 12 and just do the full 6. Let's just do that. Let's just do the full 6. Where do we have the room for that? The neat thing, though, is we can easily take the plant grinder and put a metal stand on top of it. That way we can stack it. We're out of nails though, and I didn't start this back up. So that's on me. But yeah, we can stack them. which is quite neat. But while we are in the middle of waiting for iron, we also need to do some healing potions, because that was our best moneymaker. We do 120 of each sage and flax. That is just one nursery of each. Yeah, we do need a little bit nails for that. Oh no, actually we could confirm. That is fine. Just pop that up there. So this here's flax, this here is sage. We do need to get this in here. This is the output. This is the fertilizer input. That's just gonna have to be like that. This comes out there, this comes out there. And then we have an assembler. Actually, don't, whoops, need these two. Just move this there. And I think, apart from maybe placing the assembler on the top here, I mean, we could do that just for fun, just to just sort of make an example out of how much we can actually contain this in footprint. So we get rid of this. And this, and this. That's the first one, and then we somehow need to get the second one up there. I think the easiest way to do that is to go this way. Then instead have this go this way. That that is probably the smallest footprint you can make. Maybe you can... No, I don't think you can get it any smaller than this. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Let's let it flow out over here. Now all this needs is to be moved into a place where we have... Can it be here? This is sort of what I was going for. If it could maybe be over here, and it does look like it can. You're supposed to be able to lock it to an axis. Whoops. To the z-axis, or just lock it in general so you don't, so it doesn't move when you're trying to sort of position it. But we have the exit point there, here, and then we can have the entry point of the fertilizer there. And that should be a box full of healing potions once we get this one running again. I think so. That's this. Oh wait, do we still have the box here? We don't. Let's get rid of these. And let's get rid of this. Then all that's left is the linen build. Okay, let's... Oh, we can just fill this up manually. Got a bulk order for a bunch of stuff. 4 days for that. We don't have soap, so we can't do this one. Transformation potions is the next thing for unlocking the next tier. I think... I mean, we could definitely do it. It's not that difficult. This is a new... That is cool. This is a new item or machine thing they just added for spanning. With conveyors spanning 10 tiles. That's very nice. I like that a lot. Gonna use that upstairs definitely. But yeah, we don't have steel gears yet. That's a good seller, makes us good money. So with the transformation potions, obviously the vitality potion also. We still haven't done soap, which is from the previous tier. So I think we're gonna hold off on the transformation potions because there's also the Jupiter, which is where we can sink all of our wood from our production up there. So I think we will hold off on the transformation potions a little bit, and next episode what we will be doing, because we are nearing, or we are on day 18, which is also nearing the end of this episode. But what we will do then next time is, oh, what is this? Is also new. Hangable drawbridge. Oh, so you can hang it from a ceiling, and it goes. That is also pretty cool looking. Not sure how useful this is. Anyways, we need soap. Sorry, I'm rambling. We need soap. We need steel gears. We also need the Jupiter to offtake or to sink all of our wood from the advanced fertilizer. And then obviously we need the transformation potions, but what we really need is to get our shop back up and running. So I think next episode is going to continue with getting the shop back up and running, having sort of all the builds that we can from the fertilizer. We're gonna have those up here so that we can take use of the infrastructure that we have up here. We also want to get all our furnace-based stuff up here so we can take use of this furnace or coke build that we have. We should also be able to scale this one. I think maybe if we move it back just one bit, then we can scale it if we need to. But 40 per minute of coal coke is actually quite a lot, and it does go a decent way. But yeah, we want to hook everything up to these two builds so they can continue, or so they can process pretty much continuously, and all we have to do is feed stone basically, because this charcoal bit isn't needed for anything. This is only for fueling. So we can move the iron just into its own stuff. Just have a little tiny iron setup, or maybe a couple, to produce iron and nails for us. We can do our big blob of this, but for that we need some more steel, I think. So let's just get that running. Some coal, some iron. Coal, iron. But yeah, we got pulleys running. We need rotten logs in order for this to run. Let's just get a complete shipment, whatever you want to call it. Let's put a log in each of them. Get a little bit produced. And hopefully soon
Yep. No, wait, do we have more? Did I get an additional one? No, those are running, those are all running. What might have actually not, because I think there's also one. There, yep.
Okay, so we got that going, that flowing. So this should be flowing. Yep, and rope is being produced. Yep, then pulleys are being produced. Got stuff going over here. What is missing here? Is that also just fertilizer? It does seem like it. Cool. We need some more stone. Change the setup here a little bit. Get some vitality potions on the shelf. There should be vitality potions as well. So I think the next part is just it's getting the linen built done, and then it's figuring out how do we get our products down here without any issues. We have the hole in the wall here. We really need to... Well, we can destroy the bed now. And build a new one, hopefully. I mean, we don't need a bed, but yeah, we can build a new bed. Cool. So this setup here is for this. It's charcoal, so this is purely, this part is purely for fueling. Wait, what? Did I have some kind of chest full of stuff here? I mean, I must have, right? That's so... Oh no! Oh no! So we can load back at day 18. Okay, so that was quite a bummer. I had to accidentally deleted a bunch of stuff. So I had to go and reload an earlier save. We're still on day 18, but we do have to redo some stuff. I think where we're at is filling up or starting up the production. Of advanced fertilizer, and then just sort of stocking up everything. That was quite annoying. Luckily, this game has pretty often autosave. You can adjust the interval if you think it's too often or not often enough, but that is actually the first time I've done such a thing, and I am quite glad for the autosave all of a sudden. It does have a tendency to cause a decent amount of lag, so it is kind of annoying sometimes, but I mean, when it saves you in a situation like this, you can't not love it. That is just... wow. So basically I destroyed this entire platform here, so yeah, that was unfortunate. Let's just start a few things up. Yeah, but what I wanted to do was I wanted to delete this and just this, because that's purely for fuel. So I just want to know that when we get to moving this, we only have to move the stuff that we have left. Same thing goes for here, but it is currently running, producing us some iron, so I don't want to mess too much with that. We can fill these up a little bit, so we have some things to sell down here. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure where I have made the jump cut yet, so I will just maybe possibly repeat myself a little bit, but that way I'm sure at least that we get everything, that I get to say everything that I want. Next time we are going to move the products that we are producing upstairs. We're going to move them downstairs so we can automatically keep our shop stocked again. I'm gonna keep, like, these things are gonna stay down here for now. I think I'll probably move this and these two things, or maybe I'm not quite sure. It depends on how much space we have left up here. We do have a little bit of space, but we do also need to like route stuff to go downstairs, so I'm not too sure how much space we actually have. I don't want to overcrowd it. I still want to be able to walk around up here a little bit at least. But then again, walking on top of the setups should also suffice. I mean, we are restricted in space, but we can quote-unquote always build up. One thing that is going to be an issue with that building up is that we are gonna need to transport stuff down, and we need to spend space to have like vertical conveyors that does this transporting. So we don't have unlimited space, don't have unlimited verticality. At some point it is gonna become an issue. That was the end of day 18. Sorry for rambling. I got thrown for a loop there with accidentally deleting and having to restore the save a little bit. But we got our advanced fertilizer. I think it's a pretty compact build. It could be a little more compact, but it's not the worst in the world. We got an entire belt of advanced fertilizer flowing from this production when everything is up and running 100%, so that is very nice. Eventually we're gonna get our money belt rolling, and this is just gonna run continuously, but for now we are going to sort of manually stagger it a little bit, manually insert the logs, but because it is quite expensive. Same goes for the coke powder setup that we have. But we are producing vitality potions, we're producing healing potions from nurseries, so pretty easy setups there. We're also producing our pulleys and our rope, which is also very nice indeed. And next time we're gonna get the linen and bandages up and running, and then we're gonna move all our products downstairs, get the shop back up and running full-time automatic, so we don't have to do these manual restocks, and we can start making some money that will help us with getting to the point where we can actually do the money belt. I don't think we've actually earned any money. I think we spent about what we earned. We got an urgent request for glass that will have to wait until the next episode. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.